Chris here, and welcome to my first e-bike that is a gravel e-bike. Now, I've tested a lot of e-bikes, a lot of fat wheel ones, city bikes, urban bikes, foldable bikes, but not one of these. This is a gravel bike here, so designed for where I am now, gravel roads. So this model here is called the Fiido C21. We've got 700C wheels, and they are from CST with a tread pattern that is apparently optimized for gravel off-road trails. So some loose rocks and stones and things shouldn't be a problem for these tires. You wouldn't want to be riding with road tires in these kind of conditions, but this is going to give us quite a bit of grip. Now the bike, you'll notice the frame of it, I like the look of it. I really do think it looks quite kind of retro, especially with the sidewalls of these tires being that clearer color here. The bike's weight is not bad at all. So with the C21, which is not the step-through style bar here, this is just 18 kilos. And compared to some of the other e-bikes that I've been reviewing that have weighed up to a phenomenal 37 kilos, this thing feels really lightweight in comparison. So I do like the frame and look at this bike. To me, it's an e-bike that almost does not look like an e-bike at all until you see this part here of the frame. You notice that there is a plug for charging it. The charge time's only 3 hours too, because we have a relatively small battery. It's 208 watt hours only, which Fiido claims you can get 80 kilometers out of it. And let me tell you now, that's over-exaggerated big time. I'm lucky if I'm going to get half of that kind of mileage, but they do have an expansion battery pack that you can put right here, where we do have a bottle holder mount. In fact, they've got a battery that looks almost like a bottle that you plug into where the charging port is, and that's going to double your range then. So if you go on big rides and you want to get really good range out of this bike, then that's probably what you want to invest in and get that expandable battery pack there. So here with our rear hub motor, we're looking at a 36 volt rear hub motor, 250 watts, 40 newton meters of torque. And the brakes, well, we've got 160 millimeter brakes here from TechTablets. They're hydraulic brakes, and they feel good. Now, they did take about 25 kilometers to bed in. Originally, when I was first braking on these brakes, I thought, wow, these do not feel good. They seem to have an oily residue that's over the discs themselves, probably to stop them from corroding. A bit of that seemed to have gotten onto the pads there, so that had to be burnt off that layer first before the braking performance really did start to improve. And now I'm more than satisfied with how the brakes are on the C21. So the front hub does not have a quick release, neither does the rear, so you have to bring along the appropriate tools for that. But we do have here a plug, so you can at least unscrew that, plug that out. It makes it a bit easier to remove the rear hub with the rear hub motor. The bike has a 9-speed setup here with our rear cassette. The derailleur is an RSLTW00. Never heard of this or seen it before on any of the e-bikes I've reviewed up until now, but it does seem to work well. The shifts are good, no problems with them at all. The pedals here are from Go. Now, they're an ABS style plastic with rubber at the top. You can see I've got a bit of wear on them already. I don't find they give me a big amount of grip there with just some standard shoes on. So you probably want to go with clip-ins if you're serious about riding around on your gravel trails. They're okay, they do the job, and at least they are a well-known brand, Go. I see a lot of their pedals pretty much everywhere. The C21 does cater to rider weights of up to 120 kilos. The seat post here does have a quick release. That's the only quick release you're going to find is our seat post. And the seat itself, it's a synthetic material they've used on it. It does not have a lot of padding. It's reasonably narrow, but it does suit this type of bike, and I don't have any issues with it at all. I find it to be comfortable enough. For accessories, Fiido does include this rear tail light. Now, it's charged via a Type-C port. It's reasonably bright, and great that they do include this. They do also include in the box some mud guards. Now, clearly I've not installed those because I don't really need them in the dry climate where I live. Fiido are learning. They have included lock grips with the bike here, and they're nice, they're good. They do not spin around at all. They provide plenty of grip there for my hands. So we've got our selector here with up and down the pedal assist levels. You can use that, or you can use the screen here. There's a mode button. They include this bell, loud enough, and the TechTablets brake levers. Well, because it's hydraulic, they do have a very good feel to them. They do not feel spongy at all. The gear selector is good, no complaints from me at all. So this is to go down on gears with your thumb, and then this is our trigger here to go up the gears. The shifts have been clean. The alignment out of the box has been perfect. And Fiido has this new screen set up, which is really good. This is our pedal assist levels to cycle through the mode, on and off. And the screen, it might be small, but it's very clear, even in direct sunlight. You can see this right now, pedal assist level. So that goes right up to 5, of course. There's a little beep. And there's even a Bluetooth mode with it and application. So you can connect up and get all the info from your rides and everything else on that app. And here is our speed and our battery meter at the top. So it's all clear, very bright here, and even a color display. Now the bike's got this very powerful front headlight. It's got 2 focal lenses in there. Those LEDs are very powerful. They light the path up ahead of me, so it's great for nighttime riding. There's also a built-in buzzer here too. If you press the M button, which is located on the left-hand side, you've got the electric buzzer there, which is quite loud. In fact, it's louder than the bell, so I probably wouldn't even bother installing this bell here. Okay, so a different route this time. I normally stick to my typical one, but here it's a gravel bike and I'm going to head up to the mountain that's there in the distance. Now there's a gravel trail around it, gravel trail leading up to it, and taking a gravel bike here, it just seemed to be the best option for me to do this. Now I absolutely love the frame on this bike, the fact that it doesn't really look like an e-bike until you see this part of the frame here, when you see the button and where the power in is. So we've got the torque sensor, 250 watt motor. There is a car coming. There we go, let them go past. And a bike that, I like the style of it. It looks almost retro. Now I haven't got the mudguards installed, as I mentioned before. They're optional, I don't really need them with this climate. So first I'll test it out here with these climbs. Now I'm in speed mode 2 here, so pedal assist level mode 2. And I find on mode 2, for climbs like this, which is approximately 15 degrees, a little light, very good. Now Fiido has a claim on their website that this is a silent motor, you won't hear it at all. Now when I start out, I'll just slow down here a little bit. Let's see if you can hear it. You can, just, but it is very quiet. I won't go as far to say silent, that's just their marketing of course, but it is one of the quietest. And I love the torque sensor with the power delivery, very smooth, and the more you give it, the more it will give you in return. So you can go right up to level 5, which I really don't actually need, and it feels more powerful than 250 watts. Getting into steeper climbs now, and it really is easy. It's just eating up these roads. So this is the way I'm going up the Mongo Trail, it's called, and this is where there is a small little church and some gravel trails to get right up the top of the mountain. And here is our little church at the top. So this I think dates back to the 17th century. This church is a lot newer than that, but there is this stone here with like a little small cave inside it, which apparently a very famous monk, Parepere, used to live inside there. So there's a bit of history all behind it. So these are the hiking trails here that you can take, but I would not recommend this in August and peak of summer. It can get up to 40 degrees. Super hot. So at the moment here in June, it's going to be all right. So this is the climb here that I'm going to take up. We'll see how the Fiido is going to perform here. So I have it in the pedal assist level number 3 at the moment, which is probably going to be all right. It's a little bit of a curb here, just lift the front up, not an issue. Got to be careful with that front tire on the loose gravel, of course. So the CST tires on this bike are for gravel, for these kind of conditions here. Just take it up this bit, not a problem. And again, just pop that front wheel up just a little, and it's handling these kind of climbs really well. Even on the pedal assist level 3 here, I don't feel like I need to put it into pedal assist level number 5. That's not necessary. So we're rocketing up this. Again, it doesn't feel like 250 watts, this rear hub motor. It feels more like 350 to me. Maybe even a little more. So here we are, made it up to the top, and you can see that there is the castle in Denia, and towards, where are we? No, this way is the marina and Las Rotas, where I often film my e-bike reviews. So it's quite a bit of a climb up here. I've lost 2 bars with the bike, with its battery, so it's really chewed through that battery with such a climb up here. Current temperature is about 32 degrees. The sun's been beating down on me, so yeah, I am sweating quite a bit. Behind me, if you ever come to Denia, you want to do a little bit of sightseeing, but not in August as mentioned, or July, up there is what is called the Cueva de Agua, which is the water cave. This is where there's a freshwater supply, and the 9th Legion, Roman Legion, back then they inscribed on the cave wall. It's got a mesh, well, security over the front of it. But they pretty much stated that they were here, I don't know when that was, probably almost 2,000 years ago, looking after the water supply for the town back then. So there's a lot of history around in this area if you're interested in that sort of thing. Now it's getting reasonably bumpy along this path that I'm riding. Torque sensor's doing a fantastic job here of powering me up. I'm only in pedal assist level 2. Handling this quite well. I am, by the way, in the lower gear. Now it's a bit bumpy along here for the current tire pressure I have. Downhill, it's very quick. I notice I got to get on the brakes a little bit, and as I mentioned, I've got to be careful of that front tire, because if you get on the loose areas of gravel, they're pretty dangerous. Your front wheel can just go out from underneath you, but I try to stick to the areas, choose my line here where it's more compacted, and it can be difficult in some areas. So in the 9th gear now, riding downhill, this feels like I'm on a road bike. It is very quick, very smooth, and even with these tires, rolling resistance is not bad. So I'm already doing about 52 kilometers per hour here, so you're going to be very careful with your speed here. It's a quick bike in these kind of conditions, riding it on the road. And then the range of the C21. So this is the Achilles heel of this bike. It has a very small battery located in the frame here, non-user removable. So the factory will be able to remove it. There's a plate at the bottom, so you can undo some screws. You'll be able to slide the whole thing out, but it's not designed for us to be replacing this battery. So you can't just simply swap it out. And the range is absolutely abysmal. So the first ride, I managed to get over 30 kilometers, and that was mostly just around town. That was it. On this ride currently, I am struggling, and I'm looking like I'm only going to give out 25 kilometers, if that. So it's not good at all. Now they claim 80 kilometers their range. That is highly over-exaggerated. There is absolutely no way anyone's going to be able to get that unless you're in some sort of test Olympic circuit with no wind, 50 kilo rider, and just riding around in circles in pedal assist level 1 over 25 kilometers per hour when it doesn't use the battery at all. So the range, if you're going to go on long rides, I think you really do need to buy that extended battery pack, which goes right here in the frame, plugs in. It's going to double your range. You do need that unless you're only going to be riding maybe 20, 30 kilometers. Now, I'm pretty sure there'll be people in the comments that later say, hey, I own this bike. I managed to get 40 kilometers. Well done. You're probably not riding in the same kind of conditions I am here. I'm just letting you know that it's not going to be anywhere as good as you think it is. So apart from that, the rest of the bike is very good. Now, what I love about it is the frame. As I said in the start there when we looked at the design, doesn't really look like an e-bike at all to me. It's very streamlined, and I like the kind of retro look with those sidewalls. The other good thing is there is really no rattle, apart from I hear a kind of bouncing noise from the kickstand. That's the only thing. If you remove that kickstand, then this bike is going to make no rattles, no noise at all. So very good. The torque sensor with their special algorithm, with I believe an angle sensor in there. It's got a accelerometer or something. You can tick the climbs you are. Does really help out. It seems to be working very well. I've got no complaints with that. The brake performance from TechTablets from these brakes, really good, but as I said, they took about 25 kilometers to bed in. I was a little concerned with their performance in the beginning, but once I burnt off that oil layer or whatever was on the brake pads from out of the box here, they are good. So really, everything checks out. It's just that very, very disappointing range, the distance you can get out of this on a single charge. That's the only thing on an otherwise really good bike. So I'd love to see Fiido release a C21 Pro model with a much larger battery capacity.